Okay. Oops. Sorry. My cat keeps knocking my shit around. There we go. See my beautiful face. So I did one video and I thought the DCEU is a lot shorter to do, so I'm going to do that. I'm a DC guy, and I understand that, like, if you think about how things have worked in movies, Batman movies have literally ran the board. Then the X-Men movies came out and the Spider-Man movies, and it gave them some competition. And then the Nolan Batman movies came out, and so it's almost like been an arms race. But then the MCU took off, and the DC literally had no answer for it. So I'm going to do the tier list for this. Let's see. Suicide Squad. You know what? I could do it by order, I guess. So, Man of Steel to me, automatic S. I don't know what everyone's problem is with this movie, because it's fucking phenomenal. And I'll address the things that everyone's shat on this movie for. It's basically two things. It's the Pa Kent dying thing. And they say, well, Superman could have flown over there. And I would argue Superman didn't know his powers at this time. He didn't know he was immortal. He just knew he was kind of strong. So if he went over there and died, his dad would have been really pissed. Plus, his dad didn't want him to reveal his powers because he was afraid of what would happen. So it's a moral compass thing. That didn't bother me. Maybe Superman at that time, the tornado would have just flung him around, and nothing would have happened. His dad would have died anyway. So that's bullshit. And the second one is when Zod is fighting Superman at the end. They're like, oh, he destroyed so much of the city. So if a guy like Superman is fighting a guy who's also as strong as Superman, do you think they're going to stand in a little circle and punch each other? The answer is no, they wouldn't. This is what happens when two supreme beings fight in a fucking city. There's mass destruction. And they're like, well, Superman just didn't care. Okay, he didn't care. Really. That's your comeback for that. He just, fuck it, let's kill civilians. No, that's not what happened. And this is something I want to see more of in comics, and The Boys probably does this. I've never seen it. But there's collateral damage. He can't be everywhere at once. If he's trying to save people, he's going to get punched in the back of the head by fucking Zod, and the shockwaves are probably going to liquefy their fucking skeletons just based on shockwaves. His focus at that moment was to stop Zod. And he had to super break his neck at the end. And I thought it was a perfect fitting demise for him. It's one of the strongest villains I've ever seen. I didn't see Michael Shannon in anything until I saw this, and he's phenomenal in this. And by the way, Michael Shannon, as the minutes go by, is learning everything Superman knew, because he's a soldier and he's well trained, and he started to figure things out where it took Superman a lifetime to figure out his shit. So if he didn't stop Zod at that point, I don't think he could have beat him. He just would have kept getting stronger and figured out more shit. And so to me, the bullshit arguments for why Man of Steel wasn't great is nuts. Perfect Superman. I found the story to be really good. It's really heartfelt. He does take petty revenge on a guy's truck, but I mean, okay, that was mostly just for a movie laugh. So, because Superman would never do something like that, and I give things a pass because everything can't be perfect. I love the design of the fucking suits. Looks so cool. Turns out they're all CGI too. It took me years of watching that movie to figure that out, by the way. And I didn't figure it out. Somebody told me. They look kind of Gears of War, but they look fucking badass. I loved it. I loved the big guy's only in one scene, but the lady there that's helping fight Superman. I really liked her. She was cold. Really good movie. It's an early Superman movie, so he doesn't have all his, he doesn't know what he can do yet. Fucking phenomenal soundtrack. I mean, this thing to me is as good as Iron Man, and everyone just kind of went, it's a 5 or a 4, or I didn't like it at all, for very stupid reasons. You gotta have a good reason if you're not gonna like a movie. You can't just, and we're gonna get to the Martha thing too. So the next one after that, what was the next one? It's Batman versus Superman. I'm gonna put it as A. This is one of those movies I was talking about you have to watch more than once, because upon first viewing in the theater, I was very Then I watched it a few more times and things started to make more sense. There are still things in this movie that will never make sense. I don't know why they made these choices, but I'm willing to take the bad with the good, because there is a lot of phenomenal shit in this movie. The reason why Batman and Superman fought is kind of trumped up. I didn't really feel it was a good enough reason for them to fight to the death. It should have been Batman hated Superman and Superman's just trying to reason with him. That would have been good. He tried to shoe in too many things into this movie. But in the end, I think Wonder Woman being introduced was phenomenal. Jesse Eisenberg is often shat on in this movie. I don't think he's a bad actor, and I don't think that Lex Luthor part was bad. It's just, don't call him Lex, call him something else, because he's not like Lex Luthor at all. He's his son, but like, was his dad the Lex Luthor we all know? Because like, he's not acting like Lex at all. He's a crazy person. But what I loved about him, Superman's gonna fucking fry him with heat vision. He's like, no, I have your mom. For you to fucking hold anything over Superman's head, especially a fucking human, that's unreal. The thing with Batman killing, everyone here, I'm going to get into this. Everyone shat on that. And that works in the comics because it just shows what a badass Batman is. When he enters a warehouse full of guys with grenades and machine guns, he has to kill them. And I'm fine with that. Because that whole no killing rule in the comic is one of the only things that makes the comic stupid. Because if he killed the Joker when he had the chance, there's graveyards full of victims that wouldn't be there. And why does he keep saving the Joker? Like, the Joker's life is more important than all these civilians? Like, that, it really doesn't make sense. For the comic, yes. For the movies, no. The Martha thing is what pissed me off the most. Because right off the bat when I saw it, I understood what that was. It was, he's about to kill Superman and he says, save Martha. And there's a second thing. The reason why he said Martha and it was so fucked up to him is because he was in mid-blood rage and he wasn't thinking. And when he said save Martha, he thought of his mom, and he's like, it just gave him enough couple of seconds to think so that he doesn't do it. That's all it was. That's all it was supposed to be. Everyone made a big deal. Our moms have the same name. And I thought that was a pretty brilliant writing move because I've never thought of that before. It just gave him just enough time to think to not kill Superman, and then Lois comes along and explains what's going on. So I had no problem with the Martha thing. Everyone else fucking just lost their mind. I really did like Doomsday, except and I like that he had laser vision because all Kryptonians have it. I thought that was a cool addition, but that whole power thing, that's not one of his powers, and I wish he didn't have that because it's kind of silly. But him as an actual monster looked pretty badass, especially when he started getting more of the chitinous plates and stuff. He was cool. Wonder Woman was awesome. She was probably the highlight of the whole movie, even though I like Ben Affleck as Batman. Like, he's a really good Batman. Oh, I know what movie's missing from here. The Batman, but it's not a DCEU movie. Anyway, so upon rewatching, there was an extended edition that made it longer. It fleshed out more of the scenes. I thought it was really good. It's a good movie. It took me a while to get there, but I really enjoyed it. I love Henry Cavill as Batman, obviously. There's a lot to like in this movie. That warehouse scene is the single best Batman fight that has literally ever existed. It is phenomenal. Where he beats the shit out of Superman. Holy fuckballs, was that cool. And then it just keeps ramping up into a fight with Doomsday. But like I said, Doomsday wasn't really Doomsday. I wish they would have made him more Doomsday instead of a cave troll. But it's also Weta that did it. Weta did all the effects for Lord of the Rings, so that explains that. Anyway, I really like this movie. It took me a while to get there, but I fucking really do like it now. Now it's probably Wonder Woman. Or, no, it's Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad got maligned. And to me, it looked like a music video. There's very little substance in this movie. It's all flash. It's all like going from point A to point B to point C, and there's not a lot to like in it. The actors are fine. They just weren't written that well. Although my favorite part of the movie is Amanda Waller because she's a bad motherfucker. Like, she is a badass. I really liked her character. Harley started to get on my nerves in this movie because she's basically like, you know, every guy's masturbatory dream now. Well, maybe not now, but at the time. Jared Leto wasn't a bad Joker. He's a fantastic actor. He doesn't walk around with his shirt open and chains and like, I don't mind them updating. He gets a couple of tattoos. I'm like, that's okay. But then he's like a gangster, he looks like a Colombian drug lord. That's not the Joker. That's not what he does. Even though I like his mannerisms in this, I thought he was pretty cool. Yeah, just there wasn't a lot of meat on the bone there. The girl that played the Enchantress, I thought she did a great job. I thought the Enchantress was a good villain. But like I said, this just didn't pan out. It just didn't work. And it was edited to look like a movie. They brought in another team to edit, and that's why it just didn't. And I wish there was an Ayer cut because I would love to see what he had in store. So the next one is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a really good movie. I'd put it up here. Wonder Woman, I wasn't as big on her. I know she's big in the comics. I thought she was cool, but I didn't really know that much about her. And this movie, Gal Gadot is just literally perfect casting. There's no one's going to play a better Wonder Woman. She is phenomenal. For a former Israeli model to become she's not like a phenomenal actress, but she is very comfortable on screen, and for this role especially, perfect. It was directed by a woman, and what I loved about it, it wasn't girl power, men suck. It was literally a girl who is their daughter of Zeus, that is trying to fit in the world of men, which doesn't make any fucking sense because we're stupid. And her sidekick is a man, so it's not like all fucking we hate men, because that's what I was thinking when I first saw that. That's just what comes across, and I was pleasantly delighted. Really good movie. The CGI at the end, everyone complained about. I thought it was fine. It's a fitting end. She kills him with love. It's a fitting end for that movie. Really like Chris Pine as Steve Trevor's fucking really good. I really like what's his name as Ares. He's a phenomenal actor. You don't see him anywhere near enough. I like the whole World War I thing with the poison gas and the just, it was fucking really cool. And she does that no man's land thing. Like, as a dude, I'm like, holy fuck, she's awesome. Like, she is a badass. So, really good movie. Let's see. The next one was it Aquaman or Justice League? I think it was Justice League. Now, I give this one, it's not the worst movie ever. I gave this one an easy pass because I understood the trouble it went through, so I was very not judgmental on it. And it was okay. It's not as horrible as everyone makes it out to be, but it's pretty passable. But I understood what it went through, so I tried to appreciate for what it is. I mean, they say that fucking Steppenwolf looked like a PlayStation 2 character. If you really look at the CGI, it's good. But the only problem with him, he's just a pretty flat design. He's just kind of gray and not really intimidating looking. And as a villain, his dialogue was actually pretty good, which was actually missing from the Zack Snyder's. I wish they would have put a little of Whedon's dialogue in there, because some of that dialogue was pretty good. So I give it a pretty okay rating. I'm not too hard on it. Just a lot of shit happened. And it's not even just Whedon's fault. They had 3 months to fix this movie, so they had to reshoot things and just... It's just a mess. Some movies just come out as a mess. Suicide Squad probably would have been way better. It falls into that category where it just didn't get a fair shake, and it's unfortunate. Then it was Aquaman, I think. Aquaman's pretty strong. I'd put it probably under Wonder Woman. Really good movie. Had way more heart than I thought it would. I like Black Manta. I thought he was cool. The whole thing with Orm I thought was really cool. And they didn't kill him at the end, which is a lesson that, you need to learn, because you got to keep your villains. Certain villains are reoccurring motherfuckers. You got to keep them. All across the board, all the performances are really good. I like his half in our world, half in the ocean world. It's, not like that hasn't been done a million times, but I thought it was a very good movie. The CGI was off the charts. It was just as crazy as it could be. Really, really decent movie. So next is Shazam. I think I like Shazam like that. Shazam was really good. It was funny. I didn't know much about Shazam. I just knew very little. I know he says Shazam and he becomes like a god. The guy that played the villain, Mark Strong, was really good in that role. This movie was a very light fare, but it also had a really nice family vibe to it that makes sense. It was a really fucking good movie, and the soundtrack was really good. There's a Queen song in there I'd never heard before, which is fucking weird because I grew up with Queen. Yeah, it's an all around just fun action movie. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I thought that was fucking great. Really solid movie. So I don't know what came first. I think it was Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, I think Snyder is Justice League. Wonder Woman 84 probably gets a B, or you know what? Probably a high C. It's unfortunate that she didn't have a villain to fight. It's kind of weird, but there were parts of this movie I really did like. Kristen Wiig's always a fucking win, and when she comes out in that little black dress or whatever, that cocktail, but she's in her 50s. That woman is phenomenally attractive. Holy shit. But yeah, it's kind of plain. But in the end, when she defeats the what's his name, Max, she defeats him with logic, which I really like too. So she doesn't use her strength to defeat. She actually has other tools in her toolbox other than just being like really fucking strong. But kind of fell short. We could have used more Cheetah in the movie. I know. That's probably all I have to say about that. Not bad. Harley Quinn, I don't know. It's probably a C. Kind of funny. No, not really a lot of character development on some of the characters, but I don't give a shit. Like, you don't need character development in every single movie. This is a fucking flaw that everybody has. Oh, there wasn't much character development. When you're watching a character go through a bunch of shit, you put yourself in their shoes, and you don't need character development. You really don't in a lot of cases. You're just, like, if you think of Ripley in Aliens, kind of a tough girl, has a cat. That's about it. But watching her go through shit is what the movie's about. It's not about her personality or, and they made her, more deep in the further movies. But character development is not necessarily important, There was a lot of characters they had to balance. Way too much of, we're beating up 250-pound linebacker-looking dudes with our bare hands. Like, if they're metahumans, I can get behind that. If it's Wonder Woman, cool. Harley Quinn was never a fighter, but they made her like a ninja now, which I'm not really a big fan of. Oh, there's a couple movies missing from this one. Just thought because the Suicide Squad, the other one came out. Okay, so Zack Snyder's Justice League, I fucking thought was phenomenal. Is it better than Man of Steel? You know what? Probably. So this movie does a thing I have never seen a movie do before. It's a very long movie, and there's a reason why. He gives all of his actors breathing room to act out the scene. This is extremely rare. Normally it's like, okay, we need a shock reaction from you, go. We need a sad reaction from you, go, cut. Where he's like, take as much time as you need to get through the scene. And that's what made this movie really fucking good. It takes, like, Justice League, which is just massacred. And all the scenes were still there. It's like, oh, I know that scene. The only problem is some of the dialogue from the older Justice League. Actually, Zack Snyder's is the original. That's the Whedon cut is actually the old, like the newer one. Some of that dialogue that Whedon had was actually good, and I wish they would have put a little more in there because some of the dialogue he gave was really good. Then you have the newer Suicide Squad by James Gunn. I wasn't the hugest fan of it. I'd probably put it at a B. It'd probably be the only one here that's not there. I liked it. It's wacky. It's funny. King Shark was a standout. Liked all the characters. Liked the villain. Wasn't in love with it, though. It felt kind of flat to me, and maybe I'm just comparing everything to Guardians. But it just didn't hit for me like it did everybody else. So, yeah, it would have been a solid B, I think. Let me think, is there anything else? I don't think so. I think that's about it. Like, the DCEU doesn't have a lot to go on, but it would have been nice if I could have gotten all of the other Batman movies, because it would have given more beef to this one. But we're just going with the DCEU right now. Yeah, I think that's a good standing. But yeah, just, I'd like to explain things, like why I like Batman versus Superman. You know what? I could put it down a couple pegs because I think this works better overall as a film, but this has some fantastic parts in it. But I don't go and rewatch this very often. I have watched Batman vs. Superman a lot. It's really good. But anyway, that's my thing. I'm going to make some more. These are actually pretty fun to do. I'd like to get into a beefy one of, like, great movies. Like, I'll put Fight Club on there and, like, all these really fucking stellar movies. So, yeah, we'll get into it more.